Now, it's our belief to only be able to complete these fully with 4-player co-op, and the reason being...
Let's lay down some quick tips so I don't have to bring them up again. Must be done with 4 people.
Every single freaking person has to have EMPs. It's a 4-player Easter egg.
It may be possible to do one pathway or the other with less players, but we cannot confirm that at this time.
When it comes to unsolved mysteries in Call of Duty Zombies, Tranzit surely takes the top spot of maps by which there was a lot of questions that we never really figured out the answers to. Many of these mysteries centered around the map's Tower of Babble main Easter egg quest, or what could potentially still reside undiscovered even after receiving the achievement. Longtime veterans of Zombies will remember those weeks around December 2012 to January 2013, whereby the entire community was engaged in probably the biggest mass Easter egg hunt in Zombies history, searching for an elusive super Easter egg which was hinted towards by unexplained anomalies within the map, as well as by Treyarch developers on social media. But nothing was ever really found, and as time went by and subsequent DLC maps were released, Tranzit was left to settle in the history books, with existing beliefs about the map remaining unchallenged for many years to come. One core principle of Tranzit was the idea that Tower of Babble required multiple players to complete. Initially this was all 4 players, although by the time Diarize was released several months later, Tower of Babble had been achieved with only 2 players on both the Dr. Maxis and Richthofen paths. The dismissal of a possible solo Easter egg largely arose from the confirmation that the Dr. Maxis path was indeed impossible solo, as there was simply no way around needing 2 turbines active at once for the final step. Given the sheer size of the map, the Richthofen path was also thought to be impossible solo due to how much distance needed to be covered in such a short space of time for, once again, the final step. Nevertheless, that wouldn't stop people attempting a solo Tower of Babble completion years into the future, and unlike the search for an undiscovered super Easter egg, something would be uncovered. I'd strongly recommend having at least 30,000 points in the bank so that you can get fully set up before even finishing round 1. A pack-a-punch weapon in the fridge can also be useful, but it's not necessary. It's also highly recommended to play as Samuel Stuhlinger so that you can hear Richthofen's prompts whenever you successfully complete a step. This may require restarting the game a few times, as the character selection process by the game is unfortunately completely random. However, it's not a requirement to be Stuhlinger in order to complete Tower of Babble. You can be any of the characters, just that if you're not Stuhlinger, you won't hear Richthofen telling you if you've been successful when completing a step or not. But I'll show you how to know if you've completed each of the 5 steps, even if you're not Stuhlinger. The first step is to turn on the power and get fully set up. You can either run through the fog and jump the lava to get to town and the bank directly from bus depot, or you can take the long route via the bus. Either way, you'll want to withdraw between 30,000 and 50,000 points from the bank. This will allow you to do everything you need to do up until step 4 while still only on round 1. For perks, I'd suggest Juggernog, Stamina Up and Speed Cola are an absolute must, and you can pick between Double Tap and Quick Revive for your 4th perk. Personally, I prefer Double Tap, but if you like the extra lifeline Quick Revive provides, go with that instead. You'll also want to place the hatch in the diner so that you can get the Galvanuckles, and these can allow you to one-hit denizens if you time the melee right, and combined with Stamina, it's going to make traversing the fog much easier. And we're going to be spending a lot of time out there. From the mystery box, you'll need the EMP grenades and an explosive weapon. The ray gun or ray gun Mark II are the best options here, as they technically count as explosive weapons. These powerful weapons will also help immensely on the final step.
This'll kill and cook those
Once you successfully build the power switch and turn it on, you can move on to step 2. Step 2 involves building the jet gun, and each component can have 3 possible locations. The first is the wiring. This can be found in the power station either here on this generator, sitting on this barrel, or down in the corner of this ledge. Next we have the temperature gauge, which is located in the cabin, either in front of the fireplace, on the beds, or on this bedside table. The third component is the handle, found in Nachtruimtoten, either on the stairs, on these shelves, or on this fallen cabinet. And finally we have the jet engine. This will be somewhere in the tunnel, either between these 2 cars, along the walkway just here, or in this dark corner. Assemble the jet gun parts in the town, and with it crafted, we can move on to step 3.
Excellent. Your skills are superb. Now get this thing to the obelisk. We must hurry, for Maxis is a fishy little beaver. And the dummy bird will kill you all. Trust me.
Step 3 is very easy. Simply point your jet gun at the nav card table and fire until it overheats and explodes.
Now we need the 115. But the only place to get that is from the flesh. The flesh! You must wrest the 115 from the undead by killing them. Or why do you need a bunch of it? Get busy!
Now this is as far as we can go on round 1. Here you'll need to use your explosive weapon and eliminate 25 zombies under the tower. This should take you to round 4. Once you've done this step, you'll hear Richtofen say a few lines.
Oh, wunderschön! But now too much power is flowing into the obelisk. You must reduce the incoming power by a factor of 4.
If you're not Richtofen, simply head to one of the green street lights, and if the light is flickering around crazily like this, then you know you've completed step 4. This is where things get more difficult. Originally, this was where it was believed one could go no further when attempting Tower of Babble solo. You have just 5 seconds to EMP 4 of the 8 green street lights around the map. So this is how it's going to work. On this map of Tranzit, you'll see all 8 green street lights marked. You may notice that the Hunter's cabin lights and the train wreck lights are pretty close to each other, perhaps even within throwing distance of an EMP grenade. If you have portals open at every street light, it's possible to EMP lights 1 and 2 here, before teleporting to a third light, EMPing that, then teleporting to a 4th and final light before EMPing that too. If you can do that within 5 seconds, Tower of Babble is yours. But here's the issue, you can only carry 2 EMP grenades at once. How do you knock out 4 streetlights with only 2 EMP grenades? Well, you can't, but there's a workaround. It's going to require some training skill though, and you're going to have to train the zombies in the fog by the Hunter's cabin streetlight. So the idea is this, train the zombies and kill them just in front of the Hunter's cabin streetlights. Then, when a max ammo drops, throw an EMP grenade across to the train wreck light, throw one at the floor to knock out the Hunter's cabin light, grab the max ammo, jump through the portal, throw an EMP grenade at the ground under the light where you arrive at, then jump through that next portal and throw the final EMP grenade at the ground at the light where you land. This must be done in 5 seconds or less. Have a watch here of my successful attempt. As I'm playing as Misty, the indication I completed it was the glowing blue orbs of light that soon begin emanating from the streetlight where I land, before shooting towards the obelisk tower.
Let's just wander around until we're all dead. How's that for a plan?
This step really is no easy task and does unfortunately require a lot of luck. If you jump through a portal and arrive at a street light you've already EMP'd, you'll have to start over. You'll also need to wait for an initial max ammo to replenish the first 2 EMP grenades before you can head back out into the fog and train by the hunter's cabin light, awaiting another max ammo to attempt the final step again. There's a few strategies that can make this task a little easier though. When training the zombies, run them in figures of 8 so that you can continuously loop them under the streetlight. The denizens won't attack you if you're standing under the light, and there will also be a few seconds before they attack you even after you move away from the light. So if you can train the zombies around the light effectively, the denizens essentially won't even spawn in, eliminating that issue. Secondly, make sure every zombie has spawned in and among the full group before you kill them all. This way, if one drops a max ammo, you'll have a few seconds to carefully line up the EMP throw to the train wreck streetlight before the zombies spawn back in and start bothering you. Speaking of the EMP throw, you'll want to line it up about here. These rocks behind the streetlights can help act as a guide to carefully line up the throw. There is a tree somewhat in the way of where you'll need to throw the EMP grenade, but don't worry, there is no collision on the tree, so your EMP grenades will simply pass right through it. Depending on how good you are at zombies, you may want to think about restarting if it starts getting to round 15 plus and you still haven't been able to complete it. If you're comfortable running trains, then theoretically you can go forever and keep trying until you're successful. It's just much easier in the early rounds when the zombies are slower, weaker, and fewer in numbers. Subsequent to achieving Tower of Babble, you may stumble across some of the unexplained phenomena across the map. Whether this is indicative of anything more still residing undiscovered is, at this point, anyone's best guess. Thanks for watching and have a good night.